What's going on, everybody? It's Soul Tone. Welcome back to the Go Beyond Art series, live and direct and in full effect. Today's topic, color theory. We're not talking about what color is. If you're not a baby or a blind baby, you know what color is. We're talking about how it behaves and interacts. There's what are called color spaces, and they basically fall into two types. You have additive and subtractive. So additive color spaces are like kind of think of like RGB and the way light works. You add your colors together, they get brighter and brighter until you get the color white. Subtractive color spaces are like CMYK or RYB, which is what painters are more concerned with, and is the more colors you add together, the darker everything gets until it gets to black. So your colors are split into three main categories. You got primary, secondary, and tertiary. And with painters, our primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. Basically, you can't break the colors down any further than that. Next is your secondary colors. You got orange, purple, and green. And basically, you just add equal parts of any primary color, you get a secondary color. Tertiary colors are basically two parts of one primary and then one of the secondary colors, like if you break them down all the way. So then they can shift. Like say you take orange and you add red, it gets redder and redder, but it's like a red orange, and there's all kinds of red orange. And then same thing, like if you add yellow, it gets brighter, but it's still technically an orange, but there's all kinds of names for it. The same thing with like purple, if you add blue and red, or green if you add blue and yellow. Yeah, there you go. Whatever primary isn't used, if you were to add that to your secondary color, it would start to get brown, and that's where you get your browns. And then if you add all the colors together, it starts to go back into black and things like that. Black and white, like pure black and white, you just kind of have to have those are their own separate things. Like technically they're not even colors. I don't know what anybody calls them. I just know they're not colors. But when you start adding black to colors, everything gets darker. That's a shade. You start adding white to colors, everything gets lighter. That's a tint. So you know, like all your pastel, fairy, airy colors, all those are tinted. All your deep, dark, like broody colors, like those sultry colors, all those are shades. The one other thing you need to know about is saturation. So like the closer to a pure essence of the color that a color is, the more saturated it is. The grayer and duller a color looks, the more desaturated it is. And that applies whether it's light or dark. But the relationship between colors and mixing and matching the right colors is how you get like real stunning artwork. So there's 6 basic ways you can mix your colors, and we'll just run over like all 6 of them real quick, and then we'll get into some examples for today. You got the one I already mentioned is monochromatic, where it's just like one color, so everything in the picture is, I don't know, red. And so it might be light red, dark red, but the whole picture is just painted in red. Moving on, you got dyadic, which just means die for 2. So you have 2 color options. Complementary colors, it's more commonly called. Triadic is 3 colors. They basically form a triangle. Or the next thing is a tetradic 4-color scheme. It can be rectangular, which is basically just split complementary, or it can be a square. The final one we'll talk about is an analogous color scheme, which is like all your colors are very similar, like they're in the same family. So you use a bunch of warm colors together, or you use a bunch of cool colors together. when you're doing this, as a general rule, is like if you're painting a scene and it has warm light, it should have cool shadows. If you're painting a scene and it has cool light, it should have warm shadows. Alright, so like enough explaining. Let's do a couple of exercises. It'll all make sense then. Matter of fact, I'm going to sketch this drawing out right quick. Just use this reference I found on Pinterest, and then we'll light it in a couple different ways. So yeah, that works as a skin tone. We'll just make that our base. That's a pretty warm color. I'll pick warm tones all around for the hair. Everything we're just gonna do pretty warm. And now, remember, it's warm. This is warm lighting, so it's gonna be warm highlights and cool shadows. So I had some shadows drawn in somewhere around here, over here somewhere. It was that. And before I blend, I like to exaggerate just to kind of find. We're gonna make it real cool. There we go. And see, it's still a gray, but it's also a lot. It starts bleeding into the purple, and to get purple, you gotta go add blue. Cool shadows. And then same thing in the hair. Just turn on your opacity real quick, exaggerate. Actually, I pretty much nailed it on the first stroke. I like that right there. Now you would think that we could just invert this, you know, control I, it'd be cool, but that doesn't necessarily work because that's not how Photoshop reads the colors. Like if I was to just invert it, see, it looks cool. Now she like from what's the planet in Avatar? Now she's from wherever that is, but Uh, let's see. Now we're going to, so we're going to redo the same thing, but we're going to change the lighting. So this is a warm light. Cool shadow. And just to really emphasize the light, let's add some highlights in here. So we come back and add some. That's a little too bright. There we go. Oh, no. Oh, I know what's going on. Duh. Alright, so now we'll come in here and we'll add some highlights. Just there we go. Let's try that, something like that. So still in the warm range. And then obviously, you know, we redden up her cheeks and all that. Put a little light over here on her eye, a little highlight on the red over there for her eye, or I'm sorry, for her cheekbone. A little lighting there. This is all just very hard lighting. There we go. And so now we'll do we'll switch it. We will do a warm shadow. I'm sorry. Wrong one. There we go. We'll go with warm shadows. Oh, her hair is not going to be the same color as her skin. And we'll go with cool lighting. That's exaggerating quite a bit, but that is a cool color, even though it's yellow. Remember, when you desaturate, colors naturally become cooler. Let's see if we can push it a little more into the cool. That's a little too much, let me see. There we go. So say she's under like some, what are those lights called? Like floodlights, or not floodlights. Like, what is the name of those lights? Are those floodlights? I can't even think. Either way, we'll go with warm shadows. Let's make them even warmer. And so right there on that boundary, if we want to make this more realistic, this is just an example. Since her hair is going to be warmer now, we're going to go with this. Ooh, that was way too. Warm shadow. And whenever I do warm shadows, I just go straight to like a real purple. It looks real good. And then we'll go cool highlights. Or cool, cool neutral. And that might be overdoing it just a bit. That's more natural. Whenever I start my paintings, I like to start very... My colors are... I don't know if you're familiar with the Fauvish movement, but the colors are very Fauvish, like very garish. And then I kind of pull them back and desaturate as I go, just because it's my preferred way of working. Some people like to go in the other direction. They start very desaturated and then build their colors up, which I guess if we were painting in a traditional method might be better, because then you're not wasting as much of your colors. But fortunately, if you're working digitally, the cost of paint is not an issue. There we go. And then we'll add our cool highlights. Let's see, and since this is around here, to really push it, we're basically going almost white. And once again, this is just very exaggerated and simple to kind of show you where things will be placed. And so those are your two basic lighting schemes. And then from here, just to show you how color itself affects the lighting. Let's see, is it? No, I think I want color burn. Let's see. No, maybe. That's a little too heavy. Good lord. Yeah. So this was easiest way to see how color affects your whole lighting is just using color burn. And you see my shadows were warm, And so that means it has a lot of reds and everything in it like that. If it's purple, it has what's purple? Red and blue. Wait, that's a brown. You see, it made everything cooler. There you go. So when you tint your key light, and if we just change everything to, that's not even completely red, but by tinting your key light, it changes everything. Oh, let me, this is not what we're working on right now. We're working on right now. Without that, we're working with cool lights and warm shadow. So yeah, just to learn how color affects your lighting. A good thing to do is just go in with color dodge and get a very saturated color, or color burn, I'm sorry, get a very saturated color, and then just paint the person that color. That's so what are some exercises you can do for this? Or what's the fastest way to practice this besides, you know, just drawing this? Soft brush or a low opacity brush. Soft brush is kind of cheating. Let's go hard round and make sure you have opacity on. I can come up here to a new layer now. Yeah. And just start with black. Put black on one side. And then a hard stroke on the other side of white. And then just kind of start color picking and working your way back and forth. And blending it all together. And see how many different grays can you get out of this. And like, that's just a real quick one. And then let's see, next exercise you can do is marbles are pretty cool and something I like to do. So I'll just pick a random color, make a giant marble, then I know, like, if I draw the cast shadow, number one is gonna be more like that. I'm sorry, that's not it. If I draw the cast shadow, it's gonna be cooler, number one. There we go. And then just kind of where the shadow exists, you know. So actually I shouldn't have done that on this layer. I should have put that on a separate layer. And then I just kind of take the object that I've created. Where's select pixels? And just kind of practice making. And I don't use soft brushes because, like, yeah, you can. Well, I feel like soft brushes are cheating when it comes to this kind of thing. That could just be me being weird. But then come over here, add your little and just there you go, make little marbles or whatever to just practice. So that's gonna be it for this video. Be sure to like and subscribe. If you got any questions, you know, I'll make sure I check the comments. Just let me know what's what. If something was unclear and I need to re-explain something, I got you. Next topic is gonna be composition, how to compose your pictures, because that can affect whether it reads well and it's actually super interesting or it's very bland. So see y'all in the next video.